They appeared, they come with their petition before the Senate for redress.
Okay, since they are not seeking any judicial remedy, you can lay the petition, please.
Thank you so much, sir.
The petition is referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report in 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Leader of the Senate. Point of order, Senator Chukwuka Utazi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my point of order is under Order 42, 42 and 52. And Mr. President, with a kind permission, I can read. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before the commencement of the day sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. 52. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or a reference of any other proceeding for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and general assent of the President of the Senators present. Mr. President, I have discussed with you on the issue of the unwieldy security checkpoints on roads in most parts of the country. And I've asked that give me permission to talk about it as we're in the Uleta season to make things easy for people to get to their destinations within this period.
Okay, because you have come under Orders 42 and 52, I have no problem giving you my consent, but you need the endorsement of at least 1/5 of the senators present here. So I'll put the question. Those in favor of his motion, that he takes his motion under Orders 42, 52, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You can move your motion now, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Chukwuka Utazi, and I represent the good people of Enugu North Senatorial District of Enugu State. Mr. President, this motion is on national security versus disproportionate road checkpoints on the federal highways in the country. This Senate, mindful that Nigeria as a country was never challenged before, as it is presently challenged in security management and breaches with disastrous consequences calling for urgent attention and long-lasting solution. This Senate bothered that the entire national security architecture of our country has been stretched almost beyond its elastic limits, almost on all fronts, at the borders of Northeast, Northwest, North Central geographical zones in the northern Nigeria, and the Southwest, Southeast, and South-South geographical zones in the southern Nigeria. This Senate worried that as a consequence of the above painted scenario, insurgency, religious extremism, cattle rustling, kidnap for ransom, armed robbery, and like kindred acts of criminalities has put untold pressure on our national security architecture, necessitating and compelling novel responses from the leadership of the Army, police, paramilitary bodies, etc., to stem and, if not, nip in the bud these aforementioned security breaches. This Senate notes that as a consequence of uncertain and predictable security situations in the country, there arose the need to impose road checkpoints on almost all federal highways in all geographical zones of Nigeria with predictable and unpredictable consequences. on commerce and free movement of goods and services from one part of the country to another and vice versa. This Senate agrees with the Nigeria Police Force, the Nigerian Army, the Nigeria Customs Service, etc., that while moderate roadblocks for reasons already aforementioned are necessary and acceptable for purposes of deterring the commission of crimes, apprehending fleeing criminals that committed one crime or the other, or transporting illegal arms, ammunition, or stolen goods through the instrumentality of stop and search, abuse of this understanding for unintended purposes is condemned and reprehensible. This Senate reaffirms its commitment to responsible policing of Nigeria, both internally and externally, as enunciated in the legislative agenda of the 9th Senate, and as at the same time, as the true representatives of peoples of Nigeria, we are not to renege in our responsibilities when the masses of this country complain that government policy meant to protect them has turned into oppressive conduct by those concerned, and which the IGP and people of his ilk may not be aware, hence this very motion. This Senate, in order to prove a likely abuse of the road checkpoints, the abuse of road checkpoints, a table of number of roadblocks, locations, the number of security organizations, and their intervals on the road using Lagos to Onitsha as an example are herein presented for proper grasp of this complaint. And this complaint here, we have from Lagos to Ore. We have Ilisan 1 checkpoint in front of Babcock University. Ilisa 2, you have police checkpoint there, and with the police, the first one. Less than 300 meters from the previous one, you have Ilisa 2. You have Ijebu-Odo toll gate, customs service are there. You have Ijebu-Ife, Nigerian Police Force. You have Ijebu-Itele, Customs, Federal Road Safety, and the Army. You have Ijebu-Itele 2 again, Nigerian Police Force, Nigerian Police Force there. Ajabandele 1, Nigerian Police Force. Ajabandele 2, Nigerian Police Force. Ajabandele 3, Nigerian Police Force and FRC. Ajabandele 5, Nigerian Police Force and Army. Ajabandele 6, Nigerian Police Force. Ajabandele 7, Nigerian Police Force. Ajabandele 8, Nigerian Police Force. Ajabandele 9, Nigerian Police Force on one community. Akifosile, Nigerian Police Force. Omotosho, Army. Omotosho 2, Nigerian Police, Nigerian Customs Service. Obatedo, Nigerian Police Force. Orilewo 1, Nigerian Police Force. Orilewo 2, Nigerian Customs Service. Orilewo 3, Nigerian Police Force. Orilewo 4, Nigerian Police Force, and one community. From Ore to Benin, for example, you have Ore 1, Police. Ore 2, Customs and Police. Ofusu, Army. Ofusu 2, Federal Road Safety Corps and Police. Ubogi Town, Police. Okada, Customs and Police. Okada 2, Customs and Police. Okada 3, SARS. Okada 4, Police. Okada 6, SARS. Okada 7, Army. Okada 8, SARS. Okada 9, SARS. And Okada 10, Police. Okada 11, Police. Okada 12, Police. Iwinosa, SARS. Benin Toll Gate, Custom, Federal Road Safety Corps and SARS, there. Benin Bypass, Police. Benin Bypass 2, SARS. Benin Bypass 3, Army. Ugonegi, Police. Ugonegi 2, Police. Abudu, Customs. Abudu 2, Army. Omumo Agbo, Army, Federal Road Safety Corps, Police and Customs. Agbo 2, Police. Ekwoma, Police. Iseluku, SARS. Iseluku 2, Police. Akwauku, Customs and Army. Ogwashi, Customs. Okpanam, Customs and Police. Onitsha Head Bridge, Mopol. 60 checkpoints. 60 checkpoints. A traveler, the motoring public confront in order to move from Lagos to Onitsha Head Bridge. 60. You know what that means, especially this Christmas season. Accordingly, This Senate resolves as follows. 1, to appeal to the Inspector General of Police to, as a matter of urgency, review the number of checkpoints on Lagos-Onitsha Federal Highway with a view to scaling them down and all other federal highways in the country, not only as a result of the coming Ulata festivities, but at all times from now going forward. 2, to further appeal to the IGP to direct his men on the road checkpoints to wear human face while attempting to the motoring public and eschew all forms of extortion, as is commonly alleged, while carrying out stop and search, and the establishment of the validity of vehicle particulars of vehicle owners. 3, and finally, to appeal to the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, in collaboration with Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, to, as a matter of urgency, give first lift to all federal highways in order to ease free flow of traffic, especially this Ulata season. I so move.
Senator Uche Lilian Okunife.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Uche Lilian Okunife. I represent Anambra Central. I'm from Anambra State. Mr. President, first of all, let me commend my colleague for bringing up this motion at this point in time. Mr. President, this motion is apt, and it has come at a time when we are looking up to Christmas celebration, which will come in the next few weeks. Mr. President, I want to give my own personal experience. Last 2 weeks, I was going to Enugu State. When I got to Amansi Junction, because of the 3 checkpoints between Amansi and Enugu, I couldn't even access that road to go to Enugu. I was there for 5 hours, a journey that would have taken me 40 minutes. But I was there for 5 hours, I had to turn. I went through Enugu-Oka Express Road. The same traffic caused by the checkpoints could not allow me to access Enugu. I had to go back to Anambra State, and I cancelled my trip. From Enugu to Lokoja, Mr. President, you see more than 10 checkpoints. From Anambra, Oka to Onitsha, you will see more than 10 checkpoints. From Onitsha to Owerri, you will meet more than 30 checkpoints. You will pass police checkpoints. The next one, after some few meters, you see army checkpoints. And this has not really abated the crime, the rate of crime in those localities. Mr. President, kidnapping happens every day and very close to those checkpoints. So I wonder what they are even stopping. I remember in 2017, there was a circular from the CG's office, custom, that there shouldn't be any custom checkpoint 40 kilometers from the border. But now, customs are everywhere in every state. What are they checking? Are they not supposed to be at the border at the airports? When you carry your vehicle after going through paying all the necessary fees, you take your vehicle from Lagos to Onitsha. They will come and wait for you at Asaba, wait for you at Enugu, Benin, wait for you in Onitsha, wait for you at every few meters. What are they doing on the road, Mr. President? The hardship these checkpoints are causing Nigerians, it's immeasurable. Apart from collapsing the businesses, it is also obstructing our movements. And many a times, there are so many casualties through maybe this careless shooting by the policemen and all that. So I think time has come when we need to not just stopping it by calling all the heads of these agencies to instruct them to remove all the checkpoints with immediate effect. Now we're entering Christmas period. With all these checkpoints, how would families come in for their holidays? How would they come in to assess their businesses? How would the movement of the people go through this Christmas period? Mr. President, this motion is timely and it's a motion that affects everybody. I'm talking as it affects me as somebody from the Southeast. Yes. I don't know how it affects somebody from another zone, but I think this is general and it's something everybody must condemn. And in condemning it, let us use this auspicious moment to stop the checkpoints and not know where that we need those checkpoints and what those checkpoints are doing to the economy of this country and the benefits of the checkpoints to Nigerians. As it is today, there are no benefits. Rather, Nigerians experience a lot of hardship because of the checkpoints everywhere. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my distinguished colleagues. Let me, while supporting this motion, commend the mover of this motion, and at the same time adopt what has already been expressed by my other colleagues who have spoken on this. I'm not going to rehash what they have said. I adopt what they have said, and I just want to add a little more to it. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in addition to the trauma suffered by commuters on the roads and these numerous checkpoints mounted by all manners of security agencies, there's one that is very, very insidious and very, very critical that we need to also consider. What happens today is that on the road, the police will stop people in a commuter bus. They will ask them to come out, and then they will say, open your phone. If they see inside your phone that there's a transfer of any money, they will arrest that person and call him a money launderer and take him away. And sometimes all these young men who do trading and all that get caught up. Now, we are the people who are doing e-transactions, telling people don't move cash. Then you move your cash through an e-transaction, and then a security man will stop you and say he has seen inside your phone that there is a transfer. And because of that, you become their victim. And so that is part of the reasons why there must be a total change in all the things that are happening. And I want to plead that this motion be supported by everybody so that we can put the Inspector General of Police, the Chief of Army Staff, the Head of Control of Customs and Immigration on notice that we know exactly the type of extortion that is going on in this country by virtue of these checkpoints that they put. I so submit.
Distinguished Senator Samuel.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleagues, I remain Senator Sam Ewu representing Ebonyi North. Mr. President, while I agree that the points raised by my colleague, the mover of this motion, and of course other speakers, it's true that we have a lot of security personnel on the road. I still feel that it is not proper to condemn the entire checkpoints outrightly. Whether we like it or not, we have security challenges in this country. And I know that the presence of these checkpoints have to a reasonable extent deterred the criminals. I don't subscribe to the fact that their presence has not done anything in terms of security. I know a situation where an armed robbery was carried out in Nsukka. The armed robbers attacked bullion van of the police. It was at a checkpoint at Izambo that they were rooted up and captured. If there was no road point, people could have escaped. What should concern us as a matter of fact is asking the police to be professional in their duty. To be professional. The idea of checking people's phone is not right. The idea of delaying people on the road and asking for tips is also not right. We should try to put some human elements. We know we're going to be discomforted by their presence, but it is normal because we have a situation where the country is actually facing serious security challenges. So, while I agree that there are so many on the road, we should not condemn them outrightly, but rather we should ask the police to be more professional and possibly reduce the interval of the police presence. So, Mr. President, while I agree partially with their point, I do not believe that their presence is a nuisance. Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll go to the prayers, please. Prayer 1, to appeal to the Inspector General of Police to, as a matter of urgency, review the number of checkpoints on Lagos Onitsha Federal Highway with a view to scaling them down and all other federal highways in the country, not only as a result of the coming Yuletide festivities, but all times from now going forward. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, to further appeal to the IGP, that is Inspector General of Police, to direct his men on the road checkpoints to wear human face while attending to the motoring public and eschew all forms of extortion, as is commonly alleged, while carrying out stop and search and the establishment of the validity of the vehicle particulars of vehicle owners. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 3, to appeal to the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, to, as a matter of urgency, give facelift to all federal highways in order to ease free flow of traffic, especially this Yuletide season. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Kola Ademola Balogun on the Vigilante Group Establishment, etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Vigilante Group Establishment Extra Bill 2019, SB 249, first reading.
Vigilante Group Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 249, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar on the Labor Institution Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Labor Institution Bill 2019, SB 250, first reading.
Labor Institution Bill 2019, SB 250, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ibrahim Muhammad Bomai on the Internal Audit Commission Establishment, etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Leader of, Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Internal Audit Commission Establishment Extra Bill 2019, SB 252, first reading.
Internal Audit Commission Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 254, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2019, SB 247, first reading.
Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2019, SB 247, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, The fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Barau Jibrin on the Federal University of Agriculture at Dambata, Kano State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture, Dambata, Kano State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 254, first reading.
Federal University of Agriculture, Dambata, Kano State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 254, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Betty Apiak on the National Agency for the Research and Management of Persons with Special Needs, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Agency for the Research and Management of Persons with Special Needs, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 255, first reading.
National Agency for the Research and Management of Persons with Special Needs, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 255, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of nominations of the following persons for appointment as chairman and members of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria in accordance with Section 3, Subsection 2 of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria Act 2006. Number 1, Zikirullahi Sikiru Olakunle Hassan, chairman from Osun State, Southwest, Executive Commissioners. Number 2, Abdullahi Magaji Hardawa, Executive Commissioner, Operation, Inspection and Licensing from Bauchi State, Northeast Geopolitical Zone. Number 3, Nur Hassan Yakasai, Executive Commissioner, Policy, Personnel Management and Finance, Kano State, Northwest Zone. Number 4, Sheikh Momo Suleiman Emonike, Executive Commissioner, Planning, Research and Statistics, Information and Library, Edo State, South-South. Part-time member. Number 5, Halima Jibril, Mrs. from Niger State, North Central Zone. Number 6, Abba Jato, Borno State, Northeast Geopolitical Zone. Number 7, Garba Umar, Sokoto State, Northwest Geopolitical Zone. Number 8, Ibrahim Agbonia Ama, Ebonyi State, Southeast Geopolitical Zone. Number 9, Sadiq Oniya Seneyene Musa from Delta State, South-South Geopolitical Zone. Number 10, Akintunde Basirat Olainka, Mrs. Ogun State, Southwest Geopolitical Zone. Representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies. Number 11, Shehu Dogo, Ministry of Aviation. Nura Abbarimi, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Rabi Bello Isa, Ministry of Finance, Budget, and National Planning. Number 14, Zainab Ujudul Sharif, Ministry of Health. Number 15, Aminu Bakoye Rima, Nigeria Immigration Service. Number 16, Ibrahim Ishaku Nuhu, Central Bank of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nominations of the persons listed on the order paper for appointment as chairman and members of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader that this we confirm and send this list to the appropriate committee for legislative action. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request is referred to the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs for further legislative action to report in 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Appropriations on the 2020 Appreciation Bill. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid yesterday, Wednesday, 4th December 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Barrow Jibril, Chairman of the Committee on Appropriations, to move the motion for the consideration of the report. I so move.
Senator Barrow Jibril.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Barrow Jibril. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I stand to move that this August Senate do consider a report of the Committee on Appropriations on the 2020 Appropriations Bill. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Stella Adaze Odwa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, my name is Stella Adaze Odwa and I represent Anambra North. Mr. President, I want to second that the report from Appropriation Committee, SD 80, be adopted by the senators. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is be considered. Those in favor, it's okay, be considered. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Barrow Jibril.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, it is my honor and privilege to present to you the report of the Senate Committee on Appropriations on the 2020 Appropriations Bill. You may recall that on Tuesday, the 8th day of October 2019, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, laid before the joint sitting of the National Assembly the 2020 Appropriation Bill, containing the budget estimates, the federal government revenue, and the expenditure for the 2020 fiscal year, in line with Section 81, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Legislative action. The Senate debated the general principle of the bill on Wednesday, the 9th day, and Thursday, the 10th day of October 2019, and read it the second time, and consequently referred the bill to the Committee on Appropriations for further legislative action. The committee subsequently referred the schedules of the bill to its subcommittees on money bills in line with Order 92, Subsection 4A of the Senate Standing Order 2015 as amended. In order to fast-track work on the bill, the committee drew up a work plan with a specific guide for subcommittees to follow in the processing of the bill and a timeline within which to submit and defend their reports. The timeline was Wednesday, 30th of October to Tuesday, 5th November 2019. Further to the issuance of the guideline, the committee met with subcommittees, subcommittee chairmen, on Tuesday, the 15th day of October 2019, and gave further information on the guidelines where more details on the process of the bill was provided. Additionally, the committee, in conjunction with its House of Representatives counterpart, held a two-day national public hearing on Wednesday, the 23rd day, and Thursday, the 24th day of October 2019, to receive input from ministries, departments and agencies, citizens group, and development partners. 2020 Appropriation Bill. The second proposal was 10,330,416,607,347 naira only, of which 556,700,827,235 naira only is for statutory transfers. 2,748,598,930,000 only is for debt service. 4,880,309,549,778 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 2,144,807,300,334 naira only is for contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on 31st of December 2020. Revenue projection for 2020 budget. Distinguished senators may wish to note, in preparing the details of this bill, the committee adopted the 2020 to 2020 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper as approved by the National Assembly. The summary of key assumptions and parameters upon which the 2020 budget is predicated are shown in the table below, which is in the report before you. I don't need to read that. Highlights of the bill. Highlights of the bill. The highlights of the budget are as follows. Aggregate expenditure is as stated in the report before you. Statutory transfer is as stated before you in the table before in the report before you. So also the recurrent expenditure, the capital expenditure, debt servicing, fiscal deficit, stroke GDP, all are shown in the table in the report that is before you. It's important to state that the committee worked harmoniously with the executive arm of the government in the processing of this bill, which ensured the collaboration of the two arms in the utilization of additional revenue projection to fund or to improve the funding of some critical projects which could not be adequately funded in the budget project proposal submitted by Mr. President due to funding constraints. Consequently, the increase allows for interventions in critical areas such as national security, road infrastructure, mines and steel development, health, social needs, water, among others. It is also in line with the budget trust of government, which is focused on growing development and sustainable growth. Recommendation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in view of the fact that due consideration has been given to the preparation of the budget and having also worked in harmony with the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriations, the committee hereby recommends that the Senate do consider and approve as follows. 1. A bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 10,594,362,364,830 naira only, of which 560,470,827,235 naira only is for statutory transfers. 2,725,598,930,000 only is for debt service. 4,844,974,600,640 naira only is for recurrent expenditure, while the sum of 2,465,480,600,955 naira only is for contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st December 2020 with the accompanying schedules and details. Conclusion. On behalf of the committee, I wish to respectfully thank the leadership of the Senate, led by the Senate President, and the entire members of this august Senate for the unfailing support that have been given to the committee. I also wish to thank the Appropriations Committee, subcommittee, for their cooperation and painstaking efforts in arriving at their recommendations, which have contributed to this report being presented in record time in fulfillment of the promise made by the leadership and indeed the entire members of the National Assembly that the national budget will be returned to a predictable cycle of January to December of every year. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, thank you very much.
Senator George Thompson Sekibo, CON.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senate, President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues. I am Senator George Thompson Sekibo, Commander of the Order of the Niger. I represent the Rivers East Senatorial District. Mr. Senate President, I rise first of all to commend the chairman or the super chairman and members of the Appropriations Committee. I also commend all the chairmen of the various subcommittees of the Appropriations Committee for the marching order to be sure that all the processes to get the Appropriation Act done are concluded within this given period. I also want to commend you, the President of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives for the doggedness and the push to get this done at this period. When the pronouncement was made that we want to start the budget from a January to December cycle, was pronounced by you to all of us, some of us felt it was not a possible thing, it was like a gimmick. But today, from what I have seen, it has come to stay. And I believe by the time we take the clause-by-clause consideration and then possibly pass it today, then the Senate and indeed the National Assembly must have done their own bit of the work. But the Greek people used to say one thing, that means the child that is destined to die is never killed by the nurse, by the baby nurse. My prayer is this: by the grace of God, let us pass this one today, even if we stay till midnight. And then let us pass this baby and the clean water and the basin to the executive. So if the child will survive, if it will not survive, our hands are off. We are the baby nurse. We have done our delivery. So, Mr. President, I think even if it will take us to midnight today, we must endure to sit down here and finish it. And then we should all pray that the budget is fully implemented from January 1st to December 31st. Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President.
Senator Ike Ekwaramadu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, I'd like to join Senator Sekibo in commending the work of our Appropriations Committee and all the subcommittees of this Senate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me also say clearly that I support the early passage of this appropriation bill. Obviously, we've just come out of election. There are so many expectations. And because this is the first appropriation bill for this Senate, or indeed the National Assembly, the 9th National Assembly, it makes sense and for national interest that we pass this bill early enough.
I believe I'm saying in mind that this is the first time in a long time we are passing the budget before the end of the year. So it's indeed commendable. I'd like to thank the committee and indeed the leadership of the National Assembly for making this possible. Having said this, Mr. President, and without indulging on any second reading, let me just make a few comments and I'll take my seat. One is that in looking at this budget, there were a lot of constraints looking for money to finance a lot of projects. But if you look at the key assumptions, you can see that there are areas maybe we would have done better. And I do hope that next year we'll be able to do something about it. The first is the exchange rate. Between us, we know that there's no way in Nigeria you get dollar at 305. But we are using 305 as the official exchange rate. Regrettably, when we earn our revenue in dollars, the distribution is in naira. So I will find out that we end up sustaining the levels of government. So it is either that we distribute the revenues to the states and local government and the federal government in dollars, or we accept an appropriate exchange rate of about 360 or 350. Because for every $1 we are losing about 60 naira using the $305 exchange rate. So this is something we need to engage the government, especially the finance ministry and the central bank, to adjust appropriately. The second is that we need to prioritize areas of concern. For those of us whose numbers were circulated on account of the hate speech bill, what you will recall is that most people who call you or send messages to you, they are talking about employment. So there's a whole lot of problem in that sector. So the next budget, we need to find a way of addressing it, please. And then, of course, I'm just coming back from Madrid attending the UN Climate Change Conference. Nigeria has not shown sufficient interest in environmental issues, from desertification to coastal erosion to gully erosions to pollution. And if you look at the appropriation this year, we are down about 9 billion for the whole of environment. The implication is that while I was in Madrid, I discovered that Nigeria is one of the only countries among our peers that doesn't have a pavilion because we could not provide $200,000. So if we are serious about such sectors, we must provide for them. The issue of environmental challenges is real, and so we must show seriousness in such sectors. And of course, we talk about security. We need to do something about it and provide sufficiently for those key sectors, and especially those the world are watching us, and then ensuring that we provide the atmosphere, correct atmosphere for people to go about their business by providing sufficient security. So I do hope that if we pass this budget, we'll start early enough to engage the government in some of these critical sectors and these assumptions, so that 2020 budget will be completely different from what we are passing today. So I move that this bill be fully considered and passed today.
Senator Stella Odua.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues. My name is Stella Odua. I represent Anambra North. Mr. President, I want to start by commending you for your tenacity and focus in trying to do what you have just done. And what you have done, Mr. President, is legendary. The action of today is indeed iconic, and for a very simple reason: having to change the paradigm shift. Paradigm shift in the sense that we are going to right the wrongs, ensuring that the budget starts when it ought to start, and so we can have a full year to have the budget implemented. I think is a huge gain for this nation. But having said that, Mr. President, I want to commend the chairman of Appropriations Committee. The quantum of work that went into this appropriation bill is huge. 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, he was there always, and the secretariat, they did extensive work, and I want to commend them. And also, Mr. President, we must congratulate ourselves for one simple reason again, that this appropriation prioritized what we are all clamoring for, and that is security. If you look at the budget, you see that the security sector has the lion's share, so to say, of these budgets. And the next is the infrastructural development. And so it's a well thought out, but we know that subsequent ones will be far better than what it is. And mainstreaming youth and women affairs, particularly youth affairs, was prioritized again on these budgets. Mr. President, the paradigm shift is a welcome shift, and not just a welcome shift. I want to pray that my colleagues will support this committee so that subsequent ones will prioritize the need of Nigerians and ensure that those areas where we have gaps, we're able to close the gaps. And then we did start early so we can have the budget that will address our needs. Once again, Mr. President, I want to commend you, commend the committee, and urge my colleagues to support this wonderful bill. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gabriel Suson.
President, let me join my other colleagues in commending your leadership for the purpose for which we are here talking. Mr. President, you know that for quite some years in the past, it has been impossible, almost impracticable, for the National Assembly to pass the budget before on time, as we are doing today. Mr. President, this shows commitment on our parts, all of us seated here, under your leadership. And I want to encourage you, Mr. President, that you continue to carry us along so that we'll continue to follow you with all commitment and seriousness so as to achieve for Nigerians. Mr. President, having said that, I support that we pass this budget today. But Mr. President, I want to make an appeal. There are housekeeping matters in the details of the budget which I believe that can only be attended to if we have an executive session after we would have passed the budget, because it is important that we draw your attention to some of the issues that I have seen and noticed in the details, which to some extent affect all of us. So if Mr. President would allow, after we pass the budget, we can go into an executive session for the housekeeping issues so that we can address those issues. Otherwise, I'm in full support of the passage of this budget today. Mr. President, I so submit.
Senator Solomon Adiola Olamileko.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, Adiola Solomon Olamileko, representing Lagos West Senatorial District and the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, let me join my colleague in congratulating the Committee of Appropriation of the Senate for the job well done within a record time. Mr. President, when we came up with the idea that we want to return Nigeria to a budget cycle between January to December, not so many of us believe it is possible. But because of your leadership style, you put everybody to work, and here we are today. We have the budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria before us being considered. Mr. President, I want to thank the committee for working under a very tight parameters to ensure that the budget does not expand unnecessarily, but rather ensure that all parameters as contained in the medium-term expenditure framework were used as a benchmark in putting together these final documents. And for whatever we have seen from what was submitted or what was given to us today,
has been initiative that has come from the passage of the finance bill, which this August gathering believes that we enhance the revenue drive of the federal government. And this, the committee also put into consideration at ensuring that every opportunity accruing to this nation must be put to the best use. I commend the chairman who, from the highlight of the bill, which he has stated that is before us, that the aggregate expenditure is 10.5 trillion naira, and also the statutory transfer and all other items in the MTF, medium term expenditure framework. The capital expenditure is 2.4 trillion. And what we have here in this document is the same 2.4 trillion naira. That shows the committee has worked within the parameters to ensure that they give Nigeria a budget that will work for all, a budget that will work for common man, a budget that will bring about dividend of democracy, and a budget that will take us to the next level. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues. My own here is very short. All I would like to do, Mr. President, is to extend our gratitude and thanks. We want to extend our gratitude and thanks to all the senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who really worked very, very hard. We do know, I know at one time when I'm coming out of my office around 10 o'clock, we find almost the entire parking lot filled. Senators work day and night to make sure that this budget sees the light of God, the light of the day within the time frame that we have set for ourselves. I congratulate each and every one of us, for this very patriotic work that has been done by this very highly distinguished and respected Senate. We thank everybody for the commitment and for the cooperation and for the hard work that has been done to bring us to this particular point in time. I would also, Mr. President, want to see this opportunity, to thank the executive arm of government with the unprecedented urgency, that they presented the budget. They worked also day and night to give us the estimates on which we worked. We appreciated a lot of the work that had gone into this, and we hope that going into the 2021 budget, early preparations will be done, so that we can be able to achieve this feat and repeat it subsequently. We don't want to slack. We hope that going forward, the record that we have set is going to be sustained. I thank you very much, Mr. President, and I thank my colleague for a lot of work that they have been able to do to allow us to come to this point. I thank you very much for the President with the opportunity to have given.
Senator Rocho Sokoracha.
Mr. President, I'm very happy to be part of this history-making budget. For the very first time in the history of this nation, that the budget has come at the time it should come. But let me congratulate all of us and join my colleagues in commending you for this quality leadership. But let me also remind all of us, there's no perfect being, and there can never be a perfect budget. But what is important is that the budget has been made, and this budget is made by Nigerians for Nigerians. What then is important now is the immediate execution of this budget. While we've taken the speed to present to Nigeria this budget, Mr. President, the issue of oversight should be non-negotiable to ensure that at least this budget meets the purpose for which it's meant. So I would, while commending this whole exercise, that we should remind the executive that this nice Senate will take the issue of oversight more serious than it has ever taken, given the speed with which this budget is passed. And if this is done, it will be better for Nigeria. And I pray that we do not waste time anymore. Let's go ahead and do the needful and get this budget passed as quickly as possible. And if there are rules that we must relax, Mr. President, before the executive to enable them carry out this budget as quickly as possible and ensure that the ordinary masses, ordinary people in Nigeria benefit from this, let us do it now. Because since we have changed the style all the way, let's change the style to get a better result for Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, I want to appeal that we should resort to the Committee of Supply to consider this thing. So I will just take one each from the two sides, and then Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, and then Senator Albert Bassi after.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleague. In the last 2 months, we laid the foundation for this beautiful budget by passing the procurement bill, the finance bill, and everybody hit the ground running. Mr. President, the beauty of this budget can only be achieved and for us to be happy if the executive on their own side implement the budget. If we implement the budget, by the end of December or October next year, when they are bringing 2021 budget, we might have seen the success of the 2020 budget. We are only appealing to our colleagues and all the committee that for this budget, for us to be able to tell Nigerians that we have excelled, oversight function is very, very, very important. Mr. President, I join my other colleagues to thank and appreciate the Appropriations Committee and every one of us that have contributed to produce this beautiful budget. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Bassi Albert Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleagues, Senator Albert Bassi, Akwa Northeast. Mr. President, let me join my colleagues, the entire Senate, in thanking you and commending you for your focused leadership. Mr. President, if we cannot commend ourselves, then one begins to wonder how else we can move this country forward. Mr. President, like my colleagues had earlier stated, it's been decades upon decades where a budget is passed before the end of the preceding fiscal year. Mr. President, this is extremely very iconic, and I believe very strongly, Mr. President, that we have proven to Nigerians that whatever gets measured gets done. Mr. President, our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, has no reason whatsoever to fail, because we have passed this budget within time. We have empowered him with all the laws that are necessary for the effective implementation of this budget for the good of all Nigerians. Mr. President, let me suggest, please, now that the budget has been passed and all the laws have all equally been amended, I think the focus will now shift on pursuing revenue to ensure that whatever we have passed here today, Mr. President, is implemented, because without money, the passage and all the effort that we have put in will come close to nothing. Therefore, Mr. President, I believe that all the committees that will bring about this revenue that will lead to the effective implementation of this budget must be up and doing. But I trust God, Mr. President, that with focused leadership, I believe that this budget will be effectively implemented and the impact will be felt by all Nigerians. Thank you, Mr. President, and God bless us.
Leader of the Senate, we resort to the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, with your permission, I would like to move a motion for the distinguished Senate to resolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider the report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now that we have finished the praise and worship, let us now go into the committee of the whole. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolve into Committee of Supply to consider the report clause by clause say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we'll now consider the report clause by clause, and I'll be putting the questions one after the other. We start from page 5. We start from page 5. Schedule Part A, statutory transfers. National Judicial Statutory Transfers, National Judicial Council, Niger Delta Development Commission, Universal Basic Education, National Assembly, Public Complaints Commission, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, National Human Rights Commission, Northeast Development Commission, Basic Health Care Fund, totaling 560,470,827,235 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedule Part B, debt service, domestic debts, foreign debts, totaling 2,452,598,930,000. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Sinking fund to retire maturing loans, totaling 272,900,000,000 naira. Those in favor that the sinking fund stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The total debt service, 2,725,498,930,000. Those in favor that the total debt service stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedule Part C, recurrent non-debt expenditure. Executive, Presidency, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Ministry of Interior, Office of the Head of Service, Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Auditor General for the Federation, Ministry of Police Affairs, Ministry of Communication Technology, Office of the National Security Advisor, Infrastructure Concessionary Regulatory Commission, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, Federal Ministry of Transport, Federal Ministry of Aviation, Federal Ministry of Power, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Federal Ministry of Justice, Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offenses Commission, Federal Capital Territory Administration, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Health, Federal Ministry of Environment, National Population Commission, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, totaling 3,120,088,930,000 999,239 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Federal executive bodies: Code of Conduct Bureau, Code of Conduct Tribunal, Federal Character Commission, Federal Civil Service Commission, Police Service Commission, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, totaling 9,985,477,304 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Government-owned enterprises: 364,948,261,384 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Page 8, pension, gratuities, and retirees' benefits. Office of the Head of Civil Service, civilian pension, gratuities, pensions, pension running cost, totaling 48,897,287,441. Those in favor that this stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Military pensions and gratuities, pensions, expected retirees, death benefits, administrative charges, running cost, medical retirees, arrears of 2017 to 2018 pension, arrears of 2017 to 2018 gratuity, totaling 217,593,565,984 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. NHIS military retirees. NHIS military retirees arrears 2014 to 2018. NHIS military retirees including arrears totaling 10,478,762 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. DIA civilian staff pension and gratuities. Pension 2018 arrears, pension gratuity 2018 arrears, gratuity, administrative charges including verification, standing at the total sum of 400,255,916 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Police pensions and gratuities, pensions, pension running cost, totaling 7,408,000,000 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Customs, Immigration and Prisons Pension Office, pensions, pension running cost, totaling 8,311,000,000 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Universities pension including arrears, pensions totaling 13,629,524,126 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Parastatals pension and railway pensions, pensions totaling 26,756,754,031 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Department of State Security, pensions including arrears, gratuity, death benefits, totaling 13,160,158,718 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Nigeria Intelligence Agency, pensions, dependents benefits, pension running cost, totaling 4,365,586,000 518,550 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. NEMCO pensions and arrears totaling 16,879,348,775 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Other pensions, arrears of pension liabilities, arrears of 33% increase in pension rates, payment into redemption fund, pension fund, benefits of retired heads of service and permanent secretaries and professors, severance benefits to retired heads of government agencies and parastatals, entitlements of former presidents, heads of states and vice presidents, chief of general staff, payment of outstanding terminal benefits of Nigeria Airways ex-workers, arrears for vehicles for retired discharged personnel 2017, 2018, and 2019, totaling 168,838,035,825 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Other service-wide votes, payment of outstanding death benefit to civil servants, police, group life assurance for all MDS, including DSS, insurance of sensitive assets, corpus plus administration monitoring, totaling 811,234,412,586 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The total CRF charges, other service-wide votes, payment of outstanding death benefit to civil servants, we have read that. We take total CRF charges totaling 1,347,951,862,713 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Total recurrent non-debt totaling 4,842,974,600,640 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Schedule Part D, capital expenditure. Executive, Presidency, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Ministry of Interior, Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Auditor General for the Federation, Ministry of Police Affairs, Ministry of Communication Technology, Office of the National Security Advisor, Infrastructure Concessionary Regulatory Commission, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, Federal Ministry of Transport, Federal Ministry of Aviation, Federal Ministry of Power, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Federal Ministry of Justice, Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offenses Commission, Federal Capital Territory Administration, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Health, Federal Ministry of Environment, National Population Commission, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, totaling 1,562,505,921,958 naira. Those in favor of this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Federal executive bodies, Code of Conduct Bureau, Code of Conduct Tribunal, Federal Character Commission, Federal Civil Service Commission, Police Service Commission, Revenue Allocation and Fiscal Commission, totaling 1,196,791,416 naira. Those in favor of this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Government-owned enterprises. Total sum of 188,226,781,081 naira. Those in favor of this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Multilateral, bilateral loan-funded projects. Total sum of 328,128,150 naira. Those in favor of this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Capital supplementation. Page 12. Federal FGN Special Intervention Program Capital. Counterpart funding for donor support programs including Global Fund. Payment of local contractors, debts, other liabilities, Galaxy Backbone, GIFMIS, EPs, Capital, Office of the Special Assistant to the President Special Projects, OSAP Social Safety Net, OSAP Conditional Grants to States, OSAP Payment of Ongoing Projects, OSAP SDGs, SDG Projects. 1. Recapitalization of Development Finance Institutions, Zonal Intervention Projects, Head of Service, Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, subscription to shares in international organizations, National Development Plans, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Capital Exigencies, Adjustment to Capital Cost, Contingency Capital, Grants and Donor-Funded Projects, Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, Grants to Bank of Industry to support low-interest lending to SMEs, Refund for the acquisition of Yola Disco, Special Intervention Fund, Constitution Review, CPA, Federal Government Intervention in Zamfara, Katsina, Borno, Falcon Eye Project, Office of the National Security Advisor, Construction of National Assembly Library, NILS, Digitization, Archivals for Supreme Court Proceedings and Judgments, totaling 384,960,362,500 naira. Those in support that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Total capital expenditure, 2,465,418,006,955 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Aggregate expenditure totaling 10,594,362,364,830 naira. Those in favor that this stands part of the schedule, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses start from page 3. And I will put the question on each. Clause 1 reads, the Accountant General of the Federation shall, when authorized to do so, by warrant signed by the minister charged with the responsibility for finance, pay out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation during the year ending on the 31st day of December 2020, the sum specified by the warrants not exceeding in the aggregate 10,594,364,830 naira only. Those in favor that this stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. go to clause 2. Clause 2, those in favor, since we all have the documents, I don't have to read. Those in favor that clause 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3, those in favor that clause 3 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 4, those in favor that clause 4 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 5, those in favor that clause 5 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6, those in favor that clause 6 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause
Mr. President, there is a typo on clause 6 which needs to be corrected. That's the cost reference to subsection 4. It said no fund shall be paid out of the monies arising from the records provided in section 4, except by an act approval of the national. The section 5 is one that talks about record, not section 4. And the section will not be in brackets. It's a substantive section, not a subsection. So you should rather read, no fund shall be paid out of the monies arising from the record specified in section 5, except by an act or approval of the National Assembly. I think the record is referring to the record of excess revenue, which is provided in section 5 and not section 4. Section 4 is about polygator. Thank you, Mr. President.
Referring to cross-referencing? Yeah. Chairman. Okay, I'll put the question again, please. Those in favor of clause 6 as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 7. Those in favor that clause 7 remain part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 8. Those in favor that clause 8 remains part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 9. Those in favor that clause 9 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 10. Those in favor that clause 10 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11. Those in favor that clause 11 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 12. Those in favor that clause 12 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We go to explanatory memorandum. Page 13. Page 13. Sorry, Suswan. Senator Suswan.
That is the part that I have a problem with. If Mr. President will pass the bill today and the President assent to it tomorrow, it can't commence from tomorrow. It has to commence from January 2020. So I think there should be an amendment there.
I think you are right. Any seconder? Senator Brown Lorogbe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the amendment as proposed by Senator Suswan.
Clause 12. Those in favor that clause 12 stands as amended stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We go to explanatory memorandum on page 13. Chairman, make sure you get to the House arrest immediately so that they effect the same thing. Those in favor that explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title on page 4. Those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Long title on page 2. Those in favor that the long title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to remove the motion. I rise to the motion for Senate to revert to plenary to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. In view of the mood of the Senate, they haven't done a very good job in passing this. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of Supply considered the report of the Committee on Appropriations on the 2020 Appropriation Bill and approved as follows. Schedules Part A, statutory transfers as recommended. Part B, debt service as recommended. Part C, recurrent non-debt expenditure as recommended. Part D, capital expenditure as recommended. Clauses, Clause 1 to 5 as recommended, 6 as amended, 7 to 11 as recommended, 12 as amended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of Supply? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for the 2020 Appropriation Bill to be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having passed this record-breaking budget, I so second that you now read the budget for the third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the bill be now read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation of the total sum of 10,594,362,364,830 naira only, of which 560,470,827,235 naira only is for statutory transfer. 2,725,498,930 naira only is for debt service. 4,842,974,600,640 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 2,465,418,006,955 naira only is for the contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2020, third reading.
A bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 10,594,364,830 naira only, of which 560,470,827,235 naira only is for statutory transfers. 2,725,498,930,000 naira only is for debt service. 4,842,974,600,640 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 2,465,418,006,955 naira only is for contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2020, third reading, taken and passed. Thank you very much, very distinguished colleagues. Distinguished colleagues, this wouldn't have been possible without the kind of effort all of you have put into processing the budget 2020. We cannot thank the National Assembly members enough, particularly very distinguished senators. When we came in, all of us approved our legislative agenda. And one of the important key pillars of this agenda is to ensure that we take back our budget cycle from the very undesirable cycle that could not even be defined to a cycle that could easily be defined and something that could easily be bought into by our country as a government and our business partners both within and outside the country. Today we have been able to achieve this. So it means where there is will, there will always be way. This is something that we have been able to achieve together with the House of Representatives. I must give members of the 9th National Assembly the credit, because we thought it was going to be impossible. But let me also commend the buying in of the executive arm of government. When we continue to preach that we must receive the budget 2020, the budget estimates, before the end of September or by September, it was not easy for the executive. I know they worked day and night. In fact, at one point they thought they could present it on the 30th of September, and that would have been a Monday, because they were in a hurry. They wanted to prove that they could make it in September, but that was not possible. So it was presented to us on the 8th day of October. We have been able to work very harmoniously in the sense that we threatened, or we warned, we advised really, that no minister or head of agency should leave this country without defending his or her budget before leaving the country. And thank God, the President also issued a statement that all ministers and head of agencies must lead the delegation to the National Assembly to come and defend their budgets. This is the legislature working with the executive arm of government. And this is to the benefit of Nigerians. There is no way we can achieve this without all of us here working together. I want to commend our colleagues from the opposition. This Senate, from the beginning, we said is going to be bipartisan. You have given us all the support that we require. And indeed, this is the way it should be. Because what we have done is not going to be only useful to people who support APC, it's for the entire country. And when we have good roads, or when our security operators are able to perform optimally, it's going to be to the benefit of all Nigerians, regardless of what they believe or who they are or what they are. So I want to congratulate all of us for this. I think we have done so much in a short while. We have given the executive today everything they need. We have given them the budget by passing it. We have given them the finance bills. We have given them the public procurement amendment bill. These are central to ensuring that the implementation of the 2020 budget is improved over what has been happening in the last few years. With revenue generating agencies, we want to see whether we can meet our targets and even go beyond. And if there are challenges, what are those challenges? Are there challenges that we as Parliament could resolve the issues for them so that they are able to be performing well? And if there are policies that are really hamstringing them, then we have to work together with them to ensure that they are free enough to do whatever it is that is their mandate. We will do that up to the end of the year 2020. We are going to interact with them closely because we believe that we can get more revenues than projected. The PSC, the production sharing contract that we have passed, is going to provide a lot of funds. The provision is for 160 billion from PSC, but we are likely to get about 200 billion, about $2 billion. That will be around 500 billion, and that is going to reduce the deficit. I believe that the public procurement amendment that we did is going to provide a better climate for implementing the budget. Now it's possible that implementation will be faster, and of course we'll have more of our budget implemented than what we had before. We pray that the executive is able to implement this budget fully. We are going to do our oversight very, very well. We have so far given whatever it is that is necessary. The next thing for us is to ensure that we are able to track the performances of the MDS. And when we do so, we should be taking our pause at the plenary to ensure that we report what we see. Where we are expected or we need to intervene, we should do so. Where we need to step up pressure on those who may be dragging their feet in their assignments, we should do so. Because this we should be doing for the benefit of Nigerians. While we continue to work together with the executive arm of government, we must ensure that together we're able to deliver to Nigerians what Nigerians deserve and need today. With these remarks, once again I want to congratulate all of us here and indeed our colleagues, the leadership of the House of Representatives and membership, and of course we hope that we continue to work together with our colleagues in the House of Representatives in order to ensure that this budget 2020 is fully implemented. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. My highly respected colleagues, I fully concur with you, Mr. President, on the hard work that all of us have put in this work. In recognition of that and how far we have gone today, I move, in respect of the mood of the senators, that we step down the other items on the agenda paper and to another legislative day. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the performing leader, on the mood of, and that we now step down every other thing on the other paper.
Well, I'll put the question. Those in favor that will stand down the consideration of all other items on the order paper till another legislative, they say aye. Those against say nay. I will put it again. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate to adjourn to Tuesday, 10th of the month of December 2019 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, there is an announcement. Conference Committee on Finance Bill. Senator Solomon Adiola Olamilekun, Chairman. Senator Olubimi Adetumbi, Member. Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, Member. Senator Kashim Shatima, Member. Senator Sabi Abdullahi Aliyu, Member. Senator Hassan Gusau, Member. Senator Betty Apiafi, Member. And Senator Uche Lilian Ukunife, Member. With this, let me put the question. Those in favor that the Senate stands adjourned till Tuesday, the 10th day of December 2019 at 10 a.m. prompt say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till Tuesday, 10th of December 2019 at 10 a.m. prompt.